Jim Jones is back in the spotlight once again. The Harlem rapper has stirred up the internet after making bold new comments about Mace and Cam'ron. Just when it seems like the drama might fade, Jim finds a way to bring the tension back. This time targeting two Harlem icons who've been thriving without him. Many fans are calling it jealousy, while Jim insists he's simply keeping it real. The controversy started during a recent podcast interview, where Jim spoke about fake love in Harlem and how people switch sides once the cameras come on. The host didn't name anyone, but Jim decided to. He said, "You see Mace and Cam? They not the same. Them boys Hollywood now. They wasn't really built like that anyway." The moment those words hit the air, social media exploded. People immediately began calling him out, saying, "Here we go again. Jim's talking about Mace and Cam instead of dropping music." What made it worse was the tone of his message. While Jim claimed he was offering wisdom to the younger generation, it came across as bitter. Especially given the success of Mace and Cam'ron's show, It Is What It Is. Their show has become one of the biggest wins in hip-hop media this year, transforming their Harlem chemistry into a full-scale entertainment brand with millions of views, major sponsorships, and celebrity appearances. So when Jim said they ain't really from the streets, many saw it not as genuine critique, but as envy.
And I gave them food and shelter when they didn't have it, not saying they couldn't get it. But they know the situations that they were in. You know what I mean? As school kids. And
so they were in school, they got kicked out, you said?
Both of them got kicked out.
Both of them got kicked out and you gave them food and shelter. How did you have money for food and shelter?
I learned how to do it.
What the you talking about, man?
They can't live with me in the projects in my grandmother's house.
In your grandmother's house? Oh, but she was gone.
Passed away.
So you got the apartment to yourself. They come, but you still got to pay the rent.
Yeah, I paid the rent. I paid Who to Love rent. That was Mace manager. I was a hustler. I always been a hustler.
You were in the streets.
I know how to make money.
Why are we going to Jomo's house? I heard the new you did. Yo, you want to come through? Come through. So yeah, I would bring some business over there sometime. Look, maybe.
How much do you credit you being successful to Cam?
I credit a lot to Cam, but I also credit a lot to us because behind closed doors, it was us that put him in that position.
You was a fan. You begged us. You are a fan, nigga. A fan.
I mean, he was doing music a long time and things like that, but it was a pivotal moment where before he got signed, them 2 years was very crucial to everything that we did together in his journey of becoming who Cam is.
Do you remember how we met? Pause. Not met. How you got cool with us? Basically, you heard our freestyles. Yo, man, I heard the freestyles. Y'all killing shit.
There wasn't times where Cam had to do what he had to do to make $1 and things like that. But from the beginning, I always had to make $1 because I always been on my own.
Yeah.
I've raised my whole family since I was a teenager. I used to hustle and get my mom's money. You heard it. My first job in this thing was a hype man for Cam. You know what I mean? But I started as Cam partner, became in this mission wholeheartedly. I knew what my job was. He knew what his job was.
What was your job?
My job was to make sure nothing happened to that man while he was trying to be successful, because I knew that if he be successful, then he's gonna turn around and make him successful. And that's exactly what happened.
Even the interviewer looked uncomfortable, trying to steer the convo away from Harlem gossip, but Jim kept doubling down. He said, "I'm just saying not everybody who talked tough was tough. Some people grew up around real dudes and borrowed the aura." That one line set the comment section on fire. Fans started dragging Jim, saying he was projecting his own insecurities. Because, let's be real, out of all three, Jim's the one who's always felt like he had something to prove. See, this isn't new. Jim's been throwing shade at Mace and Cam on and off for years, ever since Dipset fell apart. Back in the day, all three were pillars of Harlem sound. Mace had the smooth mainstream hits, Cam had the business mind and style, and Jim was the muscle, the loud voice, the street rep. But over time, the power shifted. Mace became respected again through his honesty and growth. Cam turned into a media mogul. And Jim, he's still arguing about who's real Harlem. It's like he's stuck trying to prove something that nobody's questioning anymore. And now these new comments might be the last straw, because Mace and Cam don't need to say much to make him look foolish. Their success already does that for them.
You was not there, man. You wasn't there. You were fanned out and you begged to come to your house after you heard all these mixtapes. That's how you got in.
I'm extremely happy today. I'm extremely happy of what I've accomplished, who I've become, what I've overcame, what I have the ability to do.
Mace actually taught you how to rap, literally. He taught you how to rap.
Mace taught me how to rap.
You say it.
Whenever I do my interviews, I'm very real with myself. You know what I mean? Like, I know the whole playing field.
We taught you how to rap, how you ran the whole organization.
people get this picture painted like I'm from the real bottom of nothing. I've been traveling on the train since I've been 8 and 9. I've been telling people this for years. Like, I'm a real anomaly. Like, I'm different in New York City. I was a man long before I was supposed to be a man.
Get out of here.
How you made Diplomat? Yeah, you ain't make none of this stuff. You was a fan. So you gonna sit around and act like you been around all this Harlem and everything. You ever see somebody from Harlem try to act like they from Harlem so bad that you gotta keep saying, I'm from Harlem? From Harlem, know who's from Harlem. You don't have to keep saying you from Harlem.
What's interesting is that fans saw this coming long before it happened. Every time Mace and Cam'ron work together or make a big move, Jim Jones somehow ends up throwing subtle shade or giving one of his trademark Harlem speeches. This latest rant followed the same pattern. When asked about "it is what it is," Jim said, "It's cool they doing something positive, but let's not act like they ever did anything for the city." That statement quickly drew laughs online because if anyone helped put Harlem on the map besides Big L, it's Mace and Cam. Mace had the world's attention in the late 90s. His sound defined an era, effortlessly blending smooth confidence with street energy. Then Cam carried Harlem through the 2000s, building an entire cultural movement with Dipset. The pink fur, the slang, the attitude, that was all Cam'ron. Jim definitely contributed, but Cam was the visionary. So when Jim downplays their impact, it comes across like he's trying to rewrite history, and that's what frustrated fans the most. Many pointed out that Jim used to openly praise both Mace and Cam in old interviews, calling them mentors and even referring to Cam as a visionary. Somewhere along the line, though, jealousy seemed to creep in. Maybe it started after Dipset fell apart. Maybe it was when Mace reconnected with Cam and left Jim out. But it's clear that some resentment has been building for years. When Mace and Cam heard about Jim's latest comments, they didn't even acknowledge him directly. They simply laughed about it on their show. Mace joked, "Some people mad because they can't get a seat at the table." And Cam followed with, "We busy making money, not excuses." That subtle response was all it took. The internet exploded, calling it the smoothest clapback possible. Fans said they managed to cook him without even cooking him.
What you think Cam gonna do? You think he just gonna sit there and you think he gonna and Jim basically Jim rhymed first? You know what I mean? Well, actually Cam and 50 said what they was talking about what they said. Jim heard that. He came back and said that. Now motherfucking Cam, what you think Cam gonna do? Cam is a lyricist. He's gonna make you feel any type of stupidity way that's possible. He's gonna say to basically kick you in your nuts. You know what I mean? He's gonna rip your heart out. Remember the old school and they was doing electric boogie and they grabbed the neck by the heart, pulled the heart, they just had it in their head, and bit the through it, stomped on the. That's what you gonna hear. It's basically they was going back and forth. After that, like I said, it went to the money. That's the whole point of the situation. Yeah, he gonna say Jim is from the Bronx. Everybody else on the side, your group of niggas, be like, yeah, the peanut, he's a peanut gallery. They gonna make up all this shit to make sure to turn the peanuts into peanut butter, then whip it into something else to make it all a whole bunch of different shit. Then my niggas is gonna talk about your feet and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so. Just to, like, that's everybody who's from Harlem got some family in the Bronx. Everybody who got some family in the Bronx got family in Harlem. Yeah, Jim is from the Bronx and he came to Harlem. You know what I'm saying?
After the backlash, Jim tried to save face online by claiming he was misquoted, but fans weren't buying it. The footage was already circulating, and it was clear there was no misunderstanding. He said exactly what he said. Instead of taking accountability, he doubled down, posting cryptic messages on Instagram about how real ones don't need validation. But by that point, the damage was already done. What makes it worse is that the entire situation could have been avoided if Jim had chosen to show support instead of throwing shade. Because honestly, Harlem could have looked stronger united. 3 legends from the same city, same generation, all still making moves. That's real legacy. Yet Jim seems caught up in the drama, more focused on debating respect than earning it. Now fans are saying Mace and Cam have completely outgrown him, that they're operating like businessmen, while Jim comes off like a bitter former friend who can't stop revisiting what might have been.
But the thing about it is, you gotta understand the war. Like, Jim it's like battling. It's like rap. It's like motherfucking rap. Jim, whatever, but they wasn't. They was on platforms. And Jim said what he said. Jim, I think what he said, something about inviting him to his, so he said, he said, they on my dick, right? That's something that's serious. Like, you hear that, you like, ooh, it's like Jim caught a ball. Oh.
Do you consider Jim a Harlem guy or no?
Jim basically was with Killer for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Cam already, you gotta understand, Jim had family in 1199 and Cam had family in 1199, and they both had family members over there. So that's how that connection went on, as far as, cause Bloodshed and everybody was over there. So that was the connection with that, as far as being First Avenue. First Avenue, they built up these condos called 1199, and Cam had family over there and Jim had family over there. So when Cam and Digger and Bloodshed was rocking, that was how Jim was able to make that connection, because Cam was going to First Ave and Jim had family on First Ave. You know what I'm saying? At a real young age. We was teenagers though, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in that area. You know what I'm saying?
Let's be real. Jim's been losing credibility for quite some time now. From the Dipset versus the Lox vs. battle to his ongoing online feuds, his energy has felt off. Fans point out that he seems more invested in staying relevant through controversy than through consistency. And this latest rant about Mace and Cam only reinforces that perception. Instead of celebrating Harlem's success, Jim always manages to make the conversation about himself. Back in the day, Harlem unity carried real weight. It represented pride, loyalty, and collective strength. But now, it feels like Jim's the only one still holding on to grudges from 2 decades ago. What's even more ironic is that while Mace and Cam are thriving in the media space, Jim keeps talking about being outside, but it's 2025, nobody cares about who's outside anymore. What matters now is who's building, innovating, and getting paid. Mace and Cam turned their friendship into a full-blown business empire with It Is What It Is, a platform that blends comedy, sports, and authentic Harlem perspective. It's fresh, it's entertaining, and it's exactly what the culture needed. Meanwhile, Jim's still bouncing between podcasts, trying to defend his legacy, even though no one's really questioning it. As Tony Yayo recently put it, some rappers get frustrated when their peers evolve while they stay trapped in the past. And that description fits Jim perfectly. Every time Mace and Cam elevate, Jim seems to lose composure, like he can't stand not being part of the spotlight they've created for themselves.
You know, is the rapping popping yet? Is, you know what I'm saying, Mace and all that going on yet, or are they still coming up?
I'm not gonna sit here and do a discography, my brother. It's a little bit too much for me. And you ain't pay enough for that. So if you got some other questions you wanna ask, or you could erase all this and I could send you your money back. Either or. I understand what's going on and the plight of everything that's going on, and people wanna know the history, but this ain't the way that you're not gonna be able to get the whole Jim Jones or Jomo story for that, what you did. I thought this was some regular questions. Seemed like you're trying to get everything up to every point, and that's not gonna happen right now. So if you wanna ask some questions, I'm cool with that, but you definitely can't ask me all these questions you're asking, my brother. So if you got some you wanna ask, you better ask and get it off your chest, but I ain't going through this with you because you don't have enough money for that. No disrespect.
Okay, I mean, I could do more of a regular interview, but I definitely plan to ask about the Cam'ron drama. Is that stuff okay, or is that not okay?
You can ask what you want to ask. You heard? But I'm just telling you that if you think I'm going down the timeline of my life with you, it's not going to happen, my brother. You heard? You're going all the way back to high school. I respect it, and I understand your job as a journalist, but as a journalist, you ain't got enough coin for that.
Another reason fans believe Jim's acting out of jealousy is because he's been trying to launch his own podcast for a while now. But it just hasn't taken off like it is what it is. He even hinted at creating a show with a similar format, yet it never gained traction. So instead of focusing on building his own platform, he seems more concerned with criticizing theirs. On Twitter, people have started calling him Harlem's 50-year-old hater. It's a harsh label, but the internet rarely holds back. Fans began resurfacing old clips where Jim claimed he put Cam on, then pairing them with past interviews where he admitted that Cam was actually the one who gave him his first shot. The contradictions didn't go unnoticed, and the comment sections lit up with receipts. At this point, it feels like Jim struggles to separate pride from progress. Every time someone from Harlem succeeds, he treats it like a threat instead of a win for the culture. Meanwhile, Mace and Cam don't even view him as competition anymore. They've moved on. They've taken Harlem's legacy and elevated it to global recognition, while Jim remains fixated on proving who's real. And the truth is, when you keep trying to prove your authenticity, it's usually because people have already stopped believing it.
Cam and Jim history go back before me. You understand what I'm saying? When I met Cam and Jim, they were super close. So I honestly don't really know Jim being from the Bronx and all that. You know what I'm saying? When I met them, they was in 5H, which is, you know what I'm saying, Jim's apartment, and that's, you know, like, I guess that time was after all the stuff Cam had said already with the Children of the Corn and Jim, you know, whatever he said, you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, when I got there, Cam and Jim was like this, super tight. Mace wasn't even in the picture. I don't know Mace like that. You know what I'm saying? Every time I seen Mace, it's been a mutual, you know what I'm saying, respect there. So, you know, that's what that's been as far as me and Mace, you know what I'm saying? As far as, yeah, when I met Cam and Jim, they were already Trump tight and locked in. You understand what I'm saying? The Diplomats was already a name they had. You know what I'm saying? I don't sit there and claim I made the dip, so that's not something I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I made Dipset though, the two. Yeah, I did that. You know what I'm saying? But now people got these platforms where, you know, they asking people, so it's like a thin line. So then you got Jim, like, it's just like people say you can't respond, even though Jim wasn't attacked, his name was mentioned. You understand what I'm saying? So now it opens the door for Jim to say something back. That's what happens. You know what I'm saying? With these podcasts and shit like that. So it opens the door, and Jim chose to, you know, say why niggas was on his dick. You know what I'm saying? That's how Jim chose to carry it. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, Cam chose to carry it the way Cam chose to carry it, and you have what you have now. You know what I'm saying?
Now, the big question everyone's asking is, what's really motivating Jim Jones to keep doing this? Is it pride, ego, or the fear of being forgotten? Because at this stage, it's starting to seem like a mix of all three. Jim built his reputation through hustle, confidence, and street presence. But lately it feels like he's leaning on old grudges to stay in the spotlight. And that's unfortunate because he's genuinely talented. He just hasn't learned how to let go of the past. Meanwhile, Mace and Cam have mastered something Jim still struggles with: evolution. They understand that in 2025, you don't need to be in the streets to keep your credibility. You maintain it by staying authentic, building your brand, and creating something lasting. That's exactly what their show represents: Harlem's growth. But Jim seems stuck in a time warp, still moving like it's 2005, as if calling people out is the only way to prove he's real. The irony is, every time Jim goes on one of his rants, Mace and Cam just benefit more. Their clips trend, their fan base expands, and Jim ends up looking like the bitter one yelling from the sidelines. It's become a cycle. Jim speaks, they laugh, fans react, and he's once again painted as the guy who can't move on. Fans have even turned it into a running joke online, saying Jim's got Mace and Cam living rent-free in his head. One viral comment put it bluntly, he acts like an ex who can't stop talking about his old crew. And honestly, that sums it up perfectly. It's like he's still resentful about being left out of their glow-up.
The wedge that came between Cam and Jim is Jim's success. Cam always looked at him as being the star, Jim being capo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's kind of like Sammy the Bull becoming John Gotti. You know what I'm saying? Gotti's probably gonna feel a little way if Sammy becomes the main man. You know what I'm saying? And in that situation, that's what it is. Jim started to grow as an artist. And as he started to grow as an artist, he started moving from standing behind Cam to he started standing next to Cam. And then it got to a point where he stood in front of Cam. Mm-hmm. And Cam was looking him over his shoulder like, yo, what you doing? And then that built the animosity. And by the time Ballin hit, Cam had a gang of animosity and internal hatred. And I know because I seen it, I was there. He was under the wing. Jim was the muscle. You get what I'm saying? Jim he's Cam's partner. But he's taking a step back to play
the muscle. I felt like he was a fucking hater because like I felt like he was supposed to be happy for Jim.
If Jim really wanted to win, he'd focus on unity instead of negativity. Imagine the power of a real Harlem reunion. Mace, Cam, and Jim coming together, putting old issues to rest and reminding everyone just how strong Harlem's influence still is. That kind of move would break the internet and reestablish Harlem's legacy in a major way. But instead, Jim keeps trying to prove points that no one asked for. At this stage, fans see things clearly. Mace and Cam are thriving, while Jim seems to be spiraling. He's once again chasing attention through controversy, but the more he speaks, the more people recognize who's evolved and who's still stuck in the past. The reality is, Jim might keep trying to rewrite Harlem's story, but the facts remain. Mace and Cam have built legacies that speak louder than any argument. Meanwhile, Jim's legacy keeps getting overshadowed by his own resentment. And that's the real irony. Every time he tries to tear them down, he only ends up revealing more about himself.